Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific Northwest, from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The sweet, sweet Mariners.
The Mariners have been really good lately for long stretches of time, which is a far cry from the flirt with 500 that they were doing the entire first half of the year.
This is also their second eight game winning
We
streak.
aren't even into the episode yet. How who do they even know who's talking to them? We haven't even introduced anybody. Golly, why don't I tell you a little bit about us?
You would think they would know by now.
If you're looking for a guy that will tell you exactly who he is at the beginning of every episode before gallivanting off into the breakdowns and the showmanship.
They're just talking about
The facts.
how good they are, right? Just fight
Maybe
me.
you're looking for a guy like me, your boy Coach Red. You can find me on Twitter at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real _ Coach Red. Search the show over on YouTube, Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or two, and follow the podcast page over on Twitter and Insta at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do a freaking do it. Now, if this person was in Dallas, they'd be called a cowboy because they're just out there bucking on some Broncos. Those are a couple of NFL teams for you as well. If you want to know more about it, why don't you ask Cain?
Yeah, I'm Cain. You can find me on Twitter, Cain2406, YouTube at Cain06, TikTok and Kick Cain0624.
Mariners had another 8-game win streak. Wow, what about it?
It's awesome. It's the second one of August.
Been wild August. Where we
They
last
have
left
been
off, they had one game left against the Royals, which they were big winners.
They sure were. They took the series 3-1. It's great to see. And in that last game there, I think this was the last game. Yeah. It was 6-4. Great to see. And Julio went 5 for 5.
Yeah, that was Julio's breakout game as his quest to break an obscure MLB record that no one in the Northwest knew anything about this time last week. But here we are, new week, new problems, right? Julio goes 5 for 5, almost single-handedly wins the game for
5
them.
RBIs.
Yeah.
He put up more runs by himself than the entire Royals team.
Yeah, it was great to see.
And as you kind of touched on the obscure record, I wanted to I saw a stat that in 4 games the Yankees had 17 hits together as a team. Julio had more runs, had the same amount of hits, had more stolen bases, etc. Like, this dude performed better than an entire franchise, and you love to see it.
Yep. Then you go into first game in Houston, where the Mariners have traditionally not played very well. And early in that game, Julio goes yard.
He sure did.
Yard.
He sure did. Pipped the shit out of it, honestly. And then you had Mike Ford's towering moonshot that he hit in the sixth.
Mike Ford might have kept his roster spot with that home run.
I agree.
He's been slumping hard.
Yeah, after the break has not been good to him. You see him see a little success recently. You kind of hope he's one of those role guys that have been succeeding for the Mariners. Kind of hope he slots in, but he's also not seeing as many at bats. And we'll get to that in the next game here.
Before we do that, big ups to Bryce Miller, Texas boy.
That's true. He did dice them.
Going crazy.
He did dice them. It was fantastic to see. They kept panning to his parents.
Oh yeah.
It was win.
It's a good
Yeah.
win. It got a little dicey in the ninth, but guess what? They didn't give up a run, so I don't care.
Let's go to game number 2, where the hit parade commenced. Oh man, this team was so hot. They just piled it on and piled it on and piled it on. And what Demo had a 2 home run game. Love to see
Yep.
that. Cal Raleigh hit another home run. Love that. Yeah. Hey, your boy Swaggerty got on the board. That was cool to see.
Yep.
And let's see. They had 17 hits.
Yeah, and Logan
Love it.
Gilbert pitched good enough to get you the win.
It's true. And then Framber Valdez was throwing at Jose Caballero.
Surprise of the century. He got lit up, and he big ups to Julio for big knows Frambar from back in the Dominican. Just goes out and gets him away from the situation. Obviously frustrated. Although I wouldn't have mind seeing a brawl against the Astros because, as we all know, I don't like them. But you can't really afford to lose anyone right now.
And uh didn't no, he played every game in this series. That's right.
Yep.
He did. Let's go to the last game of the series against them. They did win. It got a little hairy. Emerson was looking very good until his shoulder went out. He looked like he diced Altuve, carved Yordan Alvarez, just was being nasty with it up there. Finally, something good to see. He's not pitched terribly, but he also hasn't pitched amazing, and this was a sight of being an amazing outing from him. Mariners won up very early on them,
That was awesome.
and then they won 7-6. Wasn't so awesome later in the game.
The pen started out shaky. Taylor Saucedo came in, which he wasn't expecting to come into the third. It wasn't like Hunter Brown who's getting rocked around. Like there's no warning out there. Doesn't have his best outing. And the one thing that I'm going to love is Taylor Saucedo. Immediately after the game, he gets on social media and said, you know, 100% that was terrible outing by me, and I'm just glad that we got the win and that the rest of the bullpen was able to pick me up. And everyone starts pouring in like, dude, Sauce, you've got to start so many tight spots this year, which he has, but
Yes.
he's just like a cool personality for this team.
Yeah, I agree. When the pitchers have heart, they kind of ignite the guys a little bit. And one thing that I do not like on this team right now is Tom Murphy being injured. Do not like it.
Brian O'Keefe's doing some things.
I don't like him. I don't like him.
Oh,
I like
Brian
Tom
O'Keefe?
because I like Thomas Murphy.
I was at
hot.
Brian O'Keefe's first game in the majors last year. Guess what? He got a base hit. I was there for his first
get
career
a golf
hit.
clap for you.
Yeah, clap for Brian O'Keefe.
But you and I both know that Tom Murphy is amazing, and he's really started to pick it up lately. It's just tough. It's just tough because you had a pretty good catcher dynamic going.
Well,
and not
if
even
Tom Murphy's on
the
this
game.
team, 100% Mike Ford's not on the team anymore. With what you're getting from Demo, Cabby's come back a little bit, Canzone and Rojas are all doing some things. End up squeaking it out. I think Gino went deep late in that game too to do the go ahead run, if I'm not mistaken. I did not get to see it live because I was out and about, but I'm pretty sure that
he homered in the second inning.
Well, it was pretty late in their run scoring.
But Dylan Moore hit a single to right and scored somebody. So the Mariners were never tied or losing. So that's great to see. Another day with 15 hits. Love to see it.
Then you go to Chicago. And on Monday night, I am so glad that I'm not a Chicago White Sox fan because on Monday night, holy moly, it was a rough one. At one point, I started laughing when they kept getting hits. Like Cade Marlowe, I think, was the only guy that hadn't got a hit, and he got one, laced it when they were up like 13-0. And I started to laugh.
It was actually Mike Ford who did not have a hit.
Um, well, Cade Marlowe was one of the two guys that hadn't had a hit to that point, and then I started to laugh. And that was right after I think Canzone went, yeah.
Yeah. So it just
Cal
poured
Raleigh
on. It
almost
was
went yard twice in that game.
Cal Raleigh did go yard twice in that game.
In Monday?
He homered in the 5th and he homered in the 8th.
Well, he should have had 3 then, because in the first inning, they said the wind knocked it down because that thing hit
Yeah.
2 feet from the top of the fence.
JP's back for this series. He did get reinstated on Monday. Great to see. This team really needed it because JP is your heart and soul. I don't know what I was doing when it started. I was laying on the couch with my kid, and I saw that JP Crawford had scored. I was like, "Oh, geez, I better go turn on the game."
Yeah.
And oh, what a game I witnessed!
Got away from him pretty quick.
Yeah, but everybody came out in that game. Josh Rojas, big 3-for-5 day for him. Love to see it.
The other thing that got crazy is because the game got so out of hand early and you had to use extra guys in the pen on Sunday that you weren't expecting for longer periods of time. You have Luis Castillo up there, who at one point threw 47 fastballs in a row.
It was amazing.
He was like Captain Crunch. It was oops, all fastballs.
Yeah, and 45 straight or 47 consecutive fastballs that did not get a hit on.
Yeah, he was pretty electric. It's good to see him settling back in, and he's going to give a long ball every once in a while, but he gets out of those situations a little bit better than Robbie Ray did last year. And I think that's the key. Then you go into Tuesday, Brian Wu back on the squad, perfect timing with Emerson Hancock going down, and goes 4 innings of pretty strong ball, and they piece it together once again.
Yeah, they did. And another night, Josh Rojas did really good things. Love to see that from him. It's a good what is it? Mental. You know, it gets his mental right and
his head right.
Yeah.
Get your mind right.
Yeah.
Respect your body, respect your mind.
Hey, but Mike Ford went 2 for 2.
Yes, he did. Mike Ford starting to catch a little bit of fire. And then you go to today's game, day game and sweltering heat. And George Kirby was looking pretty solid until his 100th pitch. Leaves one fat in the zone. Chase Thompson takes him yard. Mariners are down 3-1, I think, at that point. Storm back late. Gino, Julio with a bases loaded hit by pitch. Ty France getting hit by pitches like every day right now. And then Gino with a pretty sweet little single up the middle. And then get a 1-run lead. Munoz gives it up in the 9th. And then Mariners get the base loaded again in the 10th. Fail to score. And no official at bat in the bottom of the 10th because Topa comes in. Cal Raleigh tries to back pick at second. Have Tim Anderson a little bit out to dry. Not a good throwing lane. JP throws the third. Kareem's off his helmet. And he basically could walk home. So I will say this. In the last 20 games, the Mariners have either won the game or lost the game in a weird fashion.
Yeah.
Every single one.
I can yeah. Another thing, dude. What is going on with Andres Munoz?
I think he's a little overworked right now because he came off the injured list. He a week ago throws 40 pitches in an outing. I think he's getting a little bit overworked. And I think he's still adjusting to the closer position. You look at Andres Munoz and you forget that he's like 24 years old.
Right.
This is his second full season in the bigs for all
Right.
intents and purposes. So your heavy late inning leverage guys right now are both guys in their second full year of the bigs. So I think that moving him around, I know earlier today you said maybe looking at Topa, but I think you should just kind of go with the hot arm in those situations
I
because
do. I
everyone
like.
is kind of, if you look at the guys that they've got in the pen, there's not too many low leverage guys there right now or
Mhm.
guys that haven't pitched in those spots. You look at the likes of Isaiah Campbell, who's pitched early on in mop up duty, but has seen some leverage spots. Gabe Spire has closed out some games, been in high leverage spots. Taylor Saucedo, Matt Brash, Justin Topa, Andres Munoz. All those guys have saved this year.
I also want it known that Justin Topa through, I want to say, like, I think it's like his last 5 times he's came in, he's put up a 0 ERA.
No, he had like a 9 or 10 game appearances streak without giving up a run that was broken
Yeah,
today because of the ghost runner on second. So
technically that's an error,
uh,
but
I don't know how that affects the stats per
was that an
se.
earned run on an error?
Yeah, but here's the other thing: if you really look at the guys right now, you get Luke Weaver back, which Luke Weaver, if you remember from last year, was the Kansas City Royal and had the national anthem showdown against Robbie Ray, where they both stood outside of the dugout with their hat on their chests.
That's
Robbie
right.
Ray did win, just
That's right.
just barely. So
That
he's
is
back.
right.
Comes in today in a long relief appearance, and when the Mariners are down, so not really a high leverage situation, and has 5 strikeouts in 2 innings. He struck out the first 5 batters he faced, and I would really say the only guy that you have on this team besides Luke Weaver was just brought on to the team. So let's figure out his role a little bit. The only guy that's not pitching in the highest of leverage positions from your bullpen right now, if you exclude the revolving door of the guys they are moving up and down to just
Yeah,
fill that spot to keep guys fresh, is Thornton. And I love Thornton.
he does
He's a
look
great
good.
inning eater.
He
He's a
looks
great
good.
inning eater. I love the guy. So I think that you can play around and augment your closer role because you even look at last year. Last year, it wasn't like Paul Sewald kind of morphed into the closer as the year went along, but there were so many times where Paul Sewald was thrown in the 7th or 8th inning. You had Matt Brash as your pivot guy. If you got into trouble, Matt Brash came and closed the door. Then you'd usually go to Sewald and then pick your poison. There were a bunch of guys that were getting saves on the team last year. I don't know why you can't go back to that now.
And
You've got a perfect opportunity, but the tough thing is like you've got the Royals, you've got the A's, and you got the Mets as your next 3 series. All 3 teams that are not good teams. So you're not gonna you might not necessarily have those high leverage situations, but maybe you toy around with some of those guys in those high leverage or save opportunities against these teams. It's a little bit softer landing than going up against I don't know any of the teams in playoff contention in the American
yeah,
League.
and as of 7:39 p.m., the Mariners are still 1 game back from first place, and Boston and Houston are tied in the top of the 8th. You'll never, ever, ever want to root for Boston, but when it comes to Houston losing, kind of want that.
I think they're a game and a half out of first place
Hold please. I will get
because they were
you
a game back and
standings.
Texas did not play today. So,
No, but they have been swept 2 series in a row.
yep. And I might have called for this
A
at
game and a
points in
half
time.
back.
Yep. I've called for the demise of Texas because what's really carried them is their hot sticks and some guys, I would say that Nathaniel Lowe's an emerging player, and I expected him to be better this year. You've got Seager and Simeon doing their things, but you had a rookie. You got Adolis Garcia, who's been a good player, but never a great player. Jonah Heim, same thing. These guys were playing at astronomical levels in the first half of the season. They've come back down to earth or have gotten injured. I was kind of expecting that offense to come back down to earth, and I don't think their pitching staff, who was also hot, could hold up for a whole season. So I kind of
Especially without
expected them to
Jacob
slide.
DeGrom.
Yeah. Well, they got Max Scherzer now,
He's
but
overworked
I
as well.
expected a little bit of regression. But
Yeah.
let's stop talking about the Rangers. Why don't we talk about how cool it was for Julio to break a record that we didn't know was a thing? He also it was the most hits in a 4 game span. The record was 16. Julio clocked in with 17. Also, in those games, Julio, as you said, had 5 stolen bases. No other player, I think, had a stolen base when they had that, when we got to those
Yeah.
harder hits things. And Julio was a
He
menace.
to go all nerd for a second, he went Super Saiyan is what he did. Um
Of, yeah, he did.
Justin, you know that. So he just was different during that stretch. It didn't matter who was throwing to him, he was locked in as anybody could ever be. And I want to say on almost every hit he had,
It was
I
like
know there
the
was,
the minimum was a 98 exit velo.
yeah, like I don't think I really saw anything under 105.
Yeah, I think 98 was the low point. It was the only thing that was under a hundo.
I think it was that ball he hit to Jeremy Pena.
No, that didn't count because it wasn't a hit.
But man, he just went off, and it was good to see. He was the backbone of the team. Not to mention, he beat a team all by himself.
Yep. It was good to see. But doing that, we thought, hey, you know what would be cool? Finding another record out there that people might not think about every day and say which Mariner we would want to break that record and why. So, Kane, you can go first. What record do you want to have broken?
I would like for consecutive games with a home run.
All right, explain it more, Benedict Arnold.
So it's
Who's the record
each
holder?
the record holder is everybody's favorite lefty, Ken Griffey Jr.
So you want to break King Griffey Jr.'s record?
Yes, I do.
I didn't. You should go to heck.
And I would love for our big dumper to break it because I just feel like Cal Raleigh's such a lovable guy. And
He gets
if
hot this time of year, baby.
yeah, yeah. And he just keeps like he's been launching them more frequently lately. So I wouldn't be shocked if he had a couple games where he strung it together. But man, it would be cool to see Cal Raleigh do it like being the switch hitter that he is, because they're throwing him out there against lefties now. And he's succeeding. So might as well. He's got one righty homer on the year.
2.
Two? Okay, well, let's see it happen. What about you, Coach Red?
Okay, the record that I want broken is most steals in a single game. The record for that is 6, and I want the new record holder at 7 to be Jose Caballero, because that dude is a menace on the base pass, and I want him to do it with only being on base 3 times. So I want him to steal second, third, and home 2 times,
Man,
and then just walk into second on the 7th stolen base and just take a bow.
that's a tall order.
If
It's a
there's a
tall
guy
order
that could
because
do it, because he
there's
is
only
so
been two
frustrating,
guys
it
that have
is
done
Jose
it this year.
Caballero. It is Caballero the guy to do it. He has to.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, he's taking third right now, like it's his job. He's stealing
He's
bases right now.
he's still getting tossed in second sometimes.
He is getting tossed at second, but you can't stop him from third.
That's true.
True. All right,
That is true.
that was fun. Why don't we talk about a couple of our favorite moments? Because the streak has been good. The Mariners are back into playoff contention. I think that with the remaining schedule that they have left, they have some very winnable games still on the docket, and less games against higher leverage opponents than the people that are around them have. So it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. But we wanted to take a second to look back on a season that has been frustrating at the start and has been euphoric here in the last couple of weeks, basically the whole month of August, even into the tail end of July. So Kane, tell me one of your favorite moments of the season.
Uh, there really wasn't much for me in the first half. Um, it was very mundane, especially being at a 500 record 22 separate times. Wasn't great to see. My first favorite thing here was right out of the break. They just how good they have played.
Right out of the break wasn't stellar.
They had the bad game against the bad series against Detroit, and then they picked it up. They were winning series after series after series. And you know what? I I'll give them a second one later. It was just super great to see this team finally have this come together moment. Just like the fight last year broke out the 14 game win streak, right? Something happened, something sparked, and it seemed like everybody and their mother caught fire. And it's just one of the greatest things to see. Coach Red, what was your favorite moment?
My first favorite moment, it's funny that you bring up the fight from last year because I feel like the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, I feel like that is the Mariners Disneyland where our dreams come true. Last year it was the fight that spurs on a big win streak. This year it's Cade Marlowe hitting a grand slam on a 100-mile heater to put him up. And what really catapulted you into the mode where they started winning these games, because at the time the Angels were ahead of us and the Angels were playing better baseball than we were, and they had just made all these trades to try and win now to keep Shohei, and Cade Marlowe puts a ball upper tank, big moment, rookie guy, and that moment to me symbolized a lot of what this team is. It's a collection of guys with a lot of different personalities and a lot of different stories. And I know you could say that about most teams, but it's tough because I don't follow all the teams very closely. But it seems like interactions that you have with the Mariners is just so genuine with the guys when you hear them talk, when you hear them speak about the team. And Cade Marlowe's a guy that was hoping to be on the playoff roster due to his speed alone. And now this guy has done more than filled in admirably while Jared Kelnick has been on the shelf.
He
But
gets
I think
almost
that when
everyday
Jared
playing
Kelnick
time.
comes back, Cade Marlowe's a must start, where Teo's probably bumping to the DH spot. You're going to twist and turn some things around, but there are going to be points and times when Jared Kelnick and Cade Marlowe on the field at the same time. And your DH gets only that much better. So
Yeah,
I think
and
that
it's
moment for me really turned the season towards the streaking times that we've seen and
yeah.
playing better against better competition.
When he hit that grand slam, I instantly flashed back to Demo hitting the grand slam against the
Houston.
Astros. And like you said, he is a must start. He's almost playing every single day. And
His
the
defense was phenomenal. He made so many plays down in left field with the Crawford boxes that just seemed effortless because the rest of his teammates now for the Bananas are just doing backflips while they catch it. Like going around
that's
a wall is nothing to this kid. What are you
that's
thinking?
true. Uh and you're talking about Kalnick, and it's tough because you also have Dominic Canzone playing very well.
Hitting very well.
Yeah, his defense is not great.
It's shaky at best.
It's not great.
It's not my
Uh
favorite thing. It's like watching Jared Kelnick play center field. Put Jared Kelnick in a corner, the guy seems like a gold glover. You put him in center, you're like, what'd you do with Jared Kelnick?
Where'd he go?
D Strange
Yeah.
Gordon underneath here to tail off the Scooby Doo mask.
uh
All right, what's another favorite thing for you?
so my next favorite thing is our record against the Astros this year.
Oh, tiebreakers all day, baby.
9-2. That's so wild for them on a team they historically struggle against. This year, they finally figured it out, and it's magical. because we're chasing them down in the division right now. And there's a good shot that this team can solidify that first round bye.
Well, the main thing is, like, if you want to take down the team that's in front of you, you just got to beat them, and they're finally doing that this year. Love to see it.
It's great to see. Like, they are playing as the Mariners we all expected them to play as all year long. This is what we expected, and now it's finally coming to fruition. And this team is just unstoppable. Yeah, they have some stupid, silly mistakes that happen in the game, like today. That was wild. But all in all, this team is winning series, and that's all I really care about.
It's what I've always said. If you win almost all your series, you're gonna be just fine. Because I was thinking about this today. Think about saying winning series, and you tell someone, okay, we need to take 2 out of 3 against this team. We need to win the series, and then people will come back and say, that doesn't seem like much, 2-1. All right, let's extrapolate that out over a 3-game series. So if you're saying that you went 6-3 in that span, you're gonna be like, oh, that's a pretty good little span there.
Right.
I'll take that. And when you extrapolate that out even more, the disparity gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So it's like, yeah, it adds up quickly.
Right. And you know what? I'll take an 8-2 road series or road trip. I will take that 6 ways from Sunday.
And neither of those 2 losses came against the Astros. So it's even better.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. Coach, what's your other memorable moment?
My other memorable moment would make Aaron Goldsmith pull out his classic line of, ho, 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 what a silly hack. And it was in game 1, baby. Game 1. Matt Brash throwing a sword to J-Ram. Dude, this guy is one of the best hitters. Oh, you totally forgot about that.
God.
I told you would never guess. I told you before. I have one in left field, and you're never going to think of it. This is it.
Matt Brash was throwing so swords. Silly. I think I was at the bar when that happened too.
I think that I was at the game, and like, oh man, watching J-Ram swing and fall down and realize it's a K, that doesn't happen. No. It doesn't happen.
No. This team has been such an emotional roller coaster for me this year. And I don't know. I'm here for the ride. Choo-choo, all aboard. Let's go.
If you want Cain to get more emotional, maybe you should give us a follow, and then you can hop on our train. Choo-choo, all aboard. Wearing, and maybe you're looking for a conductor, maybe a guy who the show's named after. Check me out on Twitter at The Real Coach Red, on Instagram at The Real _Coach Red. Hop on over to YouTube, search the show, Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or 2, and follow the podcast page over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do it, fucking do it.
Yes, sir.
Cain, where you at?
You can find me on Twitter at Cain2406, YouTube at Cain06, TikTok and Kick Cain0624.
Hey, and as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.